lived in Melbourne for the last 4 months, I definitely feel as though I have got to know its city centre fairly well. So I thought we would jump straight in with my list of top recommendations of things that you should do when you're visiting the city that cost absolutely nothing. So we are about to start at Melbourne's Queen Victoria Market, which if you have ever watched my channel before, you will probably have seen me visit, but if not, this is an absolute Melbourne must-do. Off the top of my head, I think that this is on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then other days throughout the year that are like special events. I know they do a summer night market for sure, but I will pop a screenshot up here of its current scheduling. Obviously they are on slightly different hours at the moment because of the seasons, but yeah, this does change, so just check if you are planning a visit for yourself the days that this is on, because you do not want to miss it. And we're gonna head there now. Okay, so we have actually walked here because currently we are living in the city centre, but if you're not and you're just visiting or you're staying out of the city, this is actually on Melbourne's free tram network, which is so good, guys. Basically anywhere in the city centre you can basically get for free on the tram system. I'm going to pop a map on the screen. This is what the network looks like, and it can pretty much get you everywhere in and around the centre without any cost. Anyway, we're going to walk to the markets, but you can get the tram. Let's go. I do also have Tom here with me, mainly behind the camera, but also obviously going to be enjoying the free activities as well. Mainly just the markets, and then I am going to be venturing off a little bit by myself. But for now, we have Tom here. I would probably say that the Queen Victoria Market is one of my favourite parts of Melbourne.
They're really nice, and I've only been like twice, I think. And then when Molly was like, I'm going back today, I was like, no, I want to go. Because I do love a market.
We are entering through the back. We're actually coming in through the car park. This isn't the main entrance. However, this is a really great spot if you're ever here in an evening when they have the night markets on. I'll insert an overlay of what the skyline looks like, but this is a really great place to see the whole Melbourne city skyline lit up at night. It's a little fun fact for you. We're gonna head in now. We arrived fairly early on a Friday morning, and I will say if you want to beat the crowds and have it a bit more to yourself, I would try and get there on a weekday rather than a weekend. As you can imagine, it does get quite touristy, but you can see there was barely anybody here. There are some incredible stands and stalls here, guys, selling everything you could possibly imagine and too much to list. But trust me, if you want to get any of your I Heart Australia, I Heart Melbourne gifts, this is the place, and it is a bargain. This is honestly one of my favourite parts of Melbourne. Guys, I'm thriving. 3 lover eras Taylor Swift. Come to Queen Victoria Markets just to purchase these. There are so many incredible arts and crafts stores here. You could easily spend your time filling a whole suitcase, but I will also add it's definitely worth checking out if when you're visiting they are holding a night market any days of the week, because usually the night markets are just food, and guys, the street food here is insane. My next recommendation for getting around the city and seeing some of the sights is to get the 35 tram if possible, guys. This is the City Circle Loop tram, and it is one of the original 1920s Melbourne tram designs. Still running, looking super old, super vintage, and when you're actually on board, there's a little announcement that comes over the tannoy explaining where you are and the history of it and the history of the tram network in Melbourne. It is geared up for tourists, but to be honest, it is worth it because trams are a big part of the city, and this is a great way to get around. So the next stop on my free sightseeing day of the city is the State Library of Victoria, which is right in the middle of the city. Literally, you've got the main tram stations next to us, you've got the main shopping centre behind us, and then here this is all the State Library, and guys, it is absolutely massive. We are going to go in and have a little explore. This is the entrance. As well as it being a state library, it also has a cafe, a bookshop, and also various different exhibitions just through here, so we're going to head inside. And like I say, this is completely free to enter. It's not like a museum or anything. You don't pay to get in here. It's so easy. And this is everything that is inside, so let's go. This is without doubt one of the most peaceful areas of what is otherwise a pretty busy and chaotic city. There is an exhibition on floor 2, and I would say it's probably most famous for this insane view of its dome galleries, which is actually just a study space. And a little tip, if you are digital nomading it, the Wi-Fi in the library is pretty good, so this makes it a great place to work. So in true Melbourne fashion, the weather has completely turned from this morning, which to be honest, I expected nothing less. If you've never visited this city before, or you're planning a visit sometime soon, you will absolutely definitely hear the phrase 4 seasons in a day, because that is Melbourne's tagline, and it is true. So the next activities I'm going to show you this afternoon are a couple that would be good for a rainy day, and trust me, you probably need to make a note of these because the chances are there probably will be a rainy day when you're visiting here. Melbourne is not known for its weather. So we are going to head to some of Melbourne's best free museums, and there are a couple of them. We're going to start with my personal favourite, so we're going to head over to Fed Square, and that is the next place on my free things to do in Melbourne list. Let's go. So this is Fed Square. Now there are free exhibitions and events and things on here all the time. It changes literally every day. This is a massive event space just up here, so they'll have like concerts, workouts, music, you name it. And then up here is various different things, a couple of restaurants. This is a really nice rooftop bar if you are ever visiting and did want to spend some money. But we're gonna head this way to the ACMI, which is just kind of like this building, and that is one of the museums that is here. There is another one as well, I think. There's another exhibition space just behind that. So I've put Fed Square on the list as its own individual place because it's basically this really cool kind of hybrid indoor-outdoor event space. This is a little look at the website just to give you a show of like how much is on here all the time. And like I say, I sound like a bit of a stuck record, but it's constantly changing. So this is definitely worth checking out if you are planning a visit. Now, something that will come up on every Melbourne city guide is a visit to Hosier Lane. Now, this is old footage just because it was absolutely pouring it down, so I didn't visit this day, but Hosier Lane holds its own reputation. It's basically these little alleyways and streets filled with graffiti and street art, and it is actually the most Instagrammed spot in all of Melbourne, so it's definitely worth checking out. The artwork is constantly changing, and there's some really, really cool stuff here. It is just opposite Fed Square, so super easy to find. It is raining right now, guys. I am actually soaked from walking here. Here we go. We are heading into the ACMI. I'm not sure what it stands for, but I'll pop it on screen. Now, the exhibition downstairs in the ACMI changes all the time, but if you do get a chance to visit before October this year, I can't recommend this one enough. It's called Goddess, and it's basically about the role of women in Hollywood and in media and cinema, and how feminism has really changed the face of cinema all around the world in the last 5 or 6 decades or so. And this is genuinely one of the best museum exhibitions I have ever visited. Then upstairs, this exhibition doesn't change. It is always here, and basically it is all about moving image, animation, games, set design, prop design, and it's super interactive. Maybe it is just because I'm interested in this sort of stuff, but I really do think this is one of the best museums that I have ever visited, and it is a great way to spend a rainy afternoon. Now, similar to the ACMI, the National Gallery of Victoria also has free exhibitions that you can get into without paying. It's a really great activity for a rainy afternoon, but also it is genuinely really interesting. And if you do want to pay, they often have some really cool exhibitions on here that are always changing. I went to this one a couple of weeks ago, which was the Alexander McQueen exhibition. This has finished now, but it's just a bit of an example of the kind of thing that they have on here. Hello guys, we are back with day 2. Thankfully the weather is pulling through, so we are going to do some of the activities that I had on my list to do yesterday, but we didn't get around to because of the torrential rain. But luckily we've woke up, it is clear blue skies, and in my opinion some of Melbourne's best things to do in the city are outdoors. So I've got my hoodie on, I'm probably going to whack a jacket on too, and we are going to go and have a little walk around some of my personal favourite parts of Melbourne. We are in Melbourne's Botanical Gardens. If you have ever seen any of the other Melbourne-based vlogs on my channel, you will probably have already seen me visit here because this is probably my favourite part of the city. It is such a massive open green space, and to be honest, if the weather is good, you could easily spend an entire afternoon here. So I'm going to show you some of our favourite places to visit when it is a nice sunny day, and it's looking particularly nice because right now it is very autumnal in Melbourne. So we're going to have a little bit of an explore. Oh, also obviously forgot to add, but it is completely free to enter. Imagine any massive open plan park in the middle of a city, Hyde Park, Central Park, those kind of places. Here is Thomas again, he returns.
Hi.
So over in this direction there is actually something called the Maya Music Bowl, and there is almost always music going on here. Obviously this isn't free, but it is cool that there's always events on in this space. Guys, I don't know how well you can see that actually, but there are parrots. Definitely worth having a look up whilst you're in here. There's some incredible birds. He's such a happy dog.
So cute.
So these gardens are actually made up of loads of different sections. You obviously have the Royal Botanical Gardens, but you also have the King's Domain. You also have the lakes, and honestly, it is just massive. It takes about 40 minutes, maybe even longer, to walk from one side to the other. There is a little cafe right in the middle called The Terrace, and if you are so inclined to pick up a snack or a coffee, I do really recommend. Now, sort of similar to that last recommendation, this is Carlton Gardens. Very similar, massive open green space, but located at the other side of the city, and also the Melbourne Museum is in this garden, so there is a little bit more to do there, but you can just go to chill out. It's absolutely stunning. It's a really nice place to spend a sunny afternoon with a book. There's a lot of shade here, the fountains are beautiful, the building is beautiful, and it's definitely worth stopping off if the weather is good. Final stop on this little walking tour of the Botanical Gardens is the Shrine of Remembrance. Now, I've definitely shown this in vlogs before, but we are going to head up because the view from here is one of the best in the city. This is the view from the top of the Shrine of Remembrance. Quite a lot of stairs to get up here, isn't there? It is worth it because this is one of the best views of the city. Also a really lovely walk and also free. And it's also free to enter. If you were interested in going inside, there is a little museum. You can also go up onto the top balcony, which is just up there. And obviously the view from up there is potentially even better. Now, the Shrine of Remembrance isn't just a viewpoint out over the city. It is also a monument to commemorate all Australian soldiers lost in all wars. Originally it was built to commemorate the First World War, but it has been updated and is just a monument now for all wars, which actually is really interesting, and it is a really beautiful, really peaceful place where if you are interested, you can actually learn quite a lot more about this. There is a museum kind of in the bottom of it, and it's definitely worth visiting, not for free, but it is definitely worth learning a little bit more about this, because I don't know about you, maybe it is just in the UK, but I don't think we actually really learn that much about the role of Australia and New Zealand in the wars. So that pretty much concludes my must-do free activities in Melbourne city centre. Now, there definitely will be others. The thing with this city is it changes so much. There's constantly changing exhibitions, changing galleries, changing museums. Like, everything changes so quickly and there's always something going on. So my best advice really, if you are planning a visit to Melbourne, is do some research as to what is on in the city, because there are festivals, exhibitions, etc. all the time. But these are my go-to things that are never changing, always free, always there, and a nice mix of activities for good weather and bad weather. If you do have any other recommendations that you think I've missed in the CBD itself, do let me know in the comments. I have only lived here for 3 months. I've done my best, but I'm not a Melbourne expert or a Melbourne local. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have found it helpful. If you have, do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. All engagement across all videos on my channel really helps, so I really appreciate that. And other than that, I'm gonna go and I shall see you back on my channel with a vlog, probably also from Melbourne, pretty soon. Bye guys.